story of the world's first racist. Before we begin, let's get something straight. This is not a history book. I repeat, this is not a history book. At least, not the kind of history book that most of us are used to. The ones that kind of read sort of slow and drag out and can kind of become a bit boring. This is a book that puts you in conversation with history to help us better understand the present. If all history books were written this way, a lot of us would know a lot more about history. It's written in your language with you in mind because it's you who's going to use this to change the world.
There are two things I love most in this world. The first one is playing war games. The second thing is my great-grandfather, Gigi. He was an actual war hero in World War II. He basically saved this entire village in France, and they still remember. They want Gigi to come back so they can thank him for all the heroic things he did. And the best part? He's taking me with him. I can't wait to see where all the action went down.
Hi, I'm Rob Harrell, and I'm the author of Wink. Wink is a middle school book that's about a lot of things. It's about personal relationships, friendships, surviving middle school, humiliation at times. It's also about a kid with cancer. But as scary as that sounds, and as heavy as that may sound, I wanted it to be a book that shows there can be humor in all these situations, and that humor sometimes is the way we lead ourselves through the dark times. And Ross, the main character, definitely has a good sense of humor. You get inside his head and you hear his thoughts, and he's really good at finding the absurdity in some of these situations. And that's, the way he and his best friend Abby, that's the way they navigate the world, is through their sense of humor. This book means so much to me, and I'm just incredibly excited to share it with all of you.
This is 1 Minute Books, and I'm reviewing Zora and Me, The Cursed Ground by T.R. Simon. This book takes place in the early 1900s and in the mid-1800s. The young girl Zora and Carrie in the 1900s, something happens there, and they're going to try to solve this mystery that is going to be linked to something that happened back in the 1850s with a slave called Lucia. This book was really cool. I love the way it goes back and forth between the two time periods. I found myself getting really wrapped up in both of them and not wanting those parts to end. The mystery between the two is something that you're going to have to read to figure out, because the murder that takes place in the 1850s is going to be tied into what's happening in the 1900s, Zora and Carrie. If you like books that have mystery in them, that are going to have a murder in them, that deal with historical fiction and slavery, you'll like this one. Give it a try. For information on it, check out my description below. This is 1 Minute Books, and I'm reviewing Homerooms and Hall Passes by Tom O'Donnell. This book is about a group of friends that live in a place called Brandalorian, and one of them's a wizard, one of them's a barbarian, one of them's a gloom elf assassin, one of them's a paladin, and the last one's a thief. And they go on quests together where they will gather treasure and bring it back. And when they're not doing that, they like to play a game. And the game they play is Homerooms and Hall Passes, which is where they pretend they're in a middle school. Now, they're playing this game one day when the wizard, Albiorix, accidentally casts a spell, and they all are sent to the middle school. And now they've got to be in a middle school, and they have no clue what to do about that once they get there. This book is so much fun, okay? I would say it's kind of magic realism, because there's a magic piece of them being these characters. But then when they get to middle school, all the stuff they have to deal with, they have no idea about homerooms, or how to get a pass to go to the bathroom, or what a cafeteria is like, or what detention is like. They've got to figure out all that stuff and deal with it for real. I really like the relationship between the friends and how, things that happen in middle school kind of impact their friendship. If you like books that are going to have humor in them, going to have action in them, and they're going to deal with stuff that really happens in middle school, you're going to love this one. Give it a try. For more information on it, check out my description below.
The City Spies. 5 kids from around the globe. A hacker, a magician, a code breaker, a rebel, and a genius. operating out of a secret location in the north of Scotland. They are the biggest secret in British secret intelligence. And now, as young people from around the world head to Paris, it's up to the 5 of them to stop a dangerous villain and save the day. City Spies, a brand new series from award-winning author James Ponti.
A Good Girl's Guide to Murder tells the story of 17-year-old Pip, who for her senior project decides to look into a closed local murder case. But not everyone in town is happy with her digging through the past, and soon her own life might be in danger. So Pip, I think, is the character who she doesn't really know who she's supposed to be when she's not like totally focused on a task. She's very homework driven, very type A personality. So I think it starts with that. You know, she's applying to colleges, so she wants to do a project that she feels will make her stick out, her application look good, and that's kind of her motivation at the start. But then I think as time progresses and she learns more about the secrets in her town, she kind of is investigating for her own personal reasons because she feels compelled that she has to find the truth, and she becomes so obsessed that the reason she started the project at the start kind of goes out the window. So then she doesn't even start to care about her college admission. She's just fully focused on finding the truth, whatever that may be. I feel like I'm drawn to the crime thriller genre because it is one of my favourite genres to read. You know, I like getting wholly invested in a crime and looking for clues and red herrings. But mostly I think what really drew me to this genre in writing is true crime, like podcasts and documentaries. So back when Serial Season 1 released, I was one of those people that just became obsessed, and I binge listened to the whole thing in like one night. And from there's no going back. And now, I mean, if you look at my phone memory, it is 99% filled up with true crime podcasts. I have no room for, you know, personal photos of family and friends. No, murder is more important. And I don't know what that says about me or what's wrong with me, but I just love the idea of a mystery and kind of like hunting for clues and just wanting to find out the truth. And with true crime, often you don't actually get the answers at the end, or you don't get 100% of the truth, which can be frustrating, which is why I chose to write my own mystery in like a true crime style so that I could have the answers, and hopefully readers will feel the same.
Hi, I'm Tracy Chi. I'll be reading from We Are Not Free, a novel and stories about the Japanese-American incarcerations of World War II. This excerpt is from Chapter 2, when in early 1943, half of Japantown, San Francisco has gotten their eviction orders from the federal government, and they're having to sell off their belongings because they're only allowed to take 2 suitcases when they're shipped off to the detention centers. Over the weekend, signs pop up all around the neighborhood. Evacuation sale, furniture sale, big sale, prices smashed. Me, Mas, Minnow, Twitchy, and Frankie get together to help out the guys who have to leave. At Stan Katsumoto's Family Grocery, we sort through the shelves, marking down prices on rice and kombu and tea. When Mas isn't paying attention, I tag him with a 50% off sticker, and Twitchy adds a 5-cent tag to the seat of his pants. One of the other fellas snickers. Me and Twitchy smother our laughter and stick Mas with 6 more tags before Mrs. Katsumoto looks up from the counter and goes, "Ayah, what are you doing? Masaru's a handsome boy. We can get at least $1 for him." I wish I could tell you what Mas's face looks like, but me and Twitchy are already out the door, running down the block as Mas roars after us. When we break for lunch, Mrs. Katsumoto posts a note on the door beneath the words, "I am an American." It's a message to their customers, thanking them for 20 years of patronage. Stan stares at it for a second, then cocks his eyebrow. "You sure about this, Ma? We don't want them to get the wrong idea about us." "What wrong idea?" Mrs. Katsumoto asks. "That we're decent people or something." "What's wrong with that?" "Decent people don't kick out other decent people, so if we're decent, they can't be decent. You're going to cause an existential crisis, Ma. If white people aren't decent, are they anything?" She sighs and presses down a bit of tape with her thumbnail. It's the right thing to do. For us. For us? The buzzing returns, sharp and metallic. You thank other people to make them feel good, and good is the last thing anyone should feel about what's happening to us. Mr. Katsumoto says nothing. He lowers his head over the counter, silently marking down packages of umeboshi. Thank you.
Mona Star is sweet and nerdy and a creative and very talented artist, but she is followed around by this dark shadow that tells her constantly that she's never good enough and that people don't like her. She is followed constantly by a physical manifestation of her depression, which she calls the matter. When her best friend and biggest supporter moves to Hawaii, Mona's dark matter gets darker and louder, and she needs some extra help in combating it. That is when her logical, unemotional, scientist parents send Mona to therapy. And Mona's therapist decides to approach her matter also like a scientist. Observe the matter, take notes. What does the matter say to you? How does it behave? Can you predict the way it behaves? Can you control it? Mona becomes the scientist and the lab rat as she learns to use art, writing, self-care, and friendship to manipulate and change her dark matter into something else. Based on the author's real-life experiences with mental illness, Laura Lee Gullidge creates visual depictions of depression that are anthropomorphic and also really emotional. For a graphic novel that will teach you how to tackle the dark places inside your own mind with practical ideas and also lots of supportive love, then check out The Dark Matter of Mona Star by Laura Lee Gullidge.
Everything is a puzzle. When I put together the pieces, it feels like I'm flying. I'm in a state-of-the-art rehab facility, but something is off. Patients go missing. Some, my own friends. They're telling us they just graduate or move on to other treatment centers. I'll tell them I'm Barbara Gordon, and I'm a hacker who will follow the clues till I find out what really happened. When all the pieces fit, I'll fly again.
When you step out onto that court, no matter how prepared you are, you don't really know if you're gonna win or lose. But you step out anyway. Step out. Walk tall. Discover your legacy. From the award-winning and best-selling graphic novelist Gene Lin Yang.
First original graphic novel, Trung Le Nguyen connects fairy tales with the everyday struggles of a boy trying to find the right words to come out to his parents. Tien reads favorite tales to his mother to help her practice English, while he works on finding the words in Vietnamese. They bond over stories of princesses in disguise, lost families, and star-crossed love, as Tien debates whether to ask his friend Julian to the school dance. Meanwhile, his mother faces painful memories and mourns her mother. Beautiful illustrations meld the stories in their imaginations with their daily lives. Trung Le Nguyen resides in Minnesota with his partner and his spoiled chickens.